And they're like your enemy. It's wild to be in a home with someone that's your enemy. You know, your home is your peace place. And toxic people, they like toxicity. They pretend like, a lot of them pretend like they don't, but they do. They love it. That's why, like, you're literally, when you're trying to talk to them and trying to resolve things, they don't want things resolved. They don't want nothing resolved. They want things to stay just as crazy as that it can be. They do not want nothing resolved. But the peace and being able to have a relationship with God, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. Not having to mother any adults, an adult person. That's hard, mothering. You know, adults supposed to be able to do what they want to do. They're free. So I get it. And none of us unless we got a controlling issue, wanted that. We never wanted it. I remember there was a time I was so tired. I had become tired well before the divorce. I had become so tired, probably about 17 years. Yeah, about 17 years before I filed for the divorce, before the divorce happened. Yeah, I remember one time I was literally thinking about, because I had been waiting, I had been trying to help my ex-husband, you know, with understanding things. You know, people, when you with somebody and they have like immature ways, you do what you can to try to help lift them, you know, and get them to a place where, you know, a woman wants her man to lead. She wants her man to lead. So we work really, really hard trying to help our man get to a place where he can lead. And I remember one day, and I've had that feeling numerous of times, but I remember the first time I had it, where I just started thinking about like a race. Like that I was in a race and I was trying to pass the baton off to him, and he took off running. Yes, I was so tired. 17 years, at least 17 years before I filed, I remember being like that exhausted, that I had that image in my head that I just, you know, I'm just trying to pass this on to him. And he, as I'm running, you know, like you have the race, you're running to pass the baton. And instead of the person waiting on you to hand the baton to them, they take off running from you, so you can't give them the baton. Yeah. I'm telling you, if these men really, really look at, if they, which I think that a lot of them understand it now, they're just not going to say it out loud. And that's something for another video. I'm going to talk about that. Like, they're not going to admit it because they want these younger men behind them, their sons and nephews and all the younger guys that they work with. They want them to do the same thing that they did. They don't want them to get no better than them. They don't. And this is why they are here lying to them. They got, you know, podcast and, you know, just YouTube channels and, um, you know, Instagram accounts and stuff, just bragging about how they're the greatest thing since sliced bread, and swearing up and down that they didn't do anything wrong, and how it is that they're living is so wonderful and so great, and they don't care that they messed up their marriage and their family and all that, and they're putting on this facade, they're smiling and grinning and performing like they're having such a great time. No, they're not. And I'm telling you, us women that got away from it, we're just like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, divorce, nobody wins in divorce. I'm not saying that we're just so happy that, you know, our marriage ended up in a divorce, but we're just happy that we're free. That we're free from all of that toxicity, from all that unstableness, from all of that unrest. Um, and that we're free to be able to be the person that God designed us to be. It's sad that we weren't able to be the virtuous woman, the wife to them. We tried. Nobody's perfect, but we tried. And at some point, we had to let go. And letting go, we had no idea was the best thing that we ever could have did. Literally, I believe that God himself removed that person. From a marriage like mine, I don't know about yours. I can't tell you about yours. I can't tell you about if you're in a marriage, if you've been divorced or whatever. All I'm saying is that a mentally, emotionally, and verbally abusive marriage that breaks you down, where your health is just deteriorating, yes, God removes you from that. And there's a lot of them. The courts are hiding it. The courts are hiding this abuse, that kind of abuse. They literally, when you file, they don't even want you to put that kind of thing on there. And even if you do put the charges of abuse on there, the allegations that you're saying, the things that you're saying, even you got recordings and messages and all that and everything, they don't want to see it. And what they put on there is irreconcilable differences, because they don't want to expose the toxic person, the narcissist. Like I said, don't get me wrong. Look, I was married to a man, so that's why I do. It's not the only reason why. I do talk a lot more about the males. And I also don't mention that toxic masculinity, that there are women that are following the men, that are being like the toxic carnal man that the world taught the man to be. So, look, if you're a man and you were mentally, verbally, emotionally abused by your wife, I get it. And I'm not saying that that's not true. Okay? But because I was married to a man, I don't marry women. I marry men, men is what I'm interested in. And the fact that they started with the man, that the toxicity starts with the man, that basically, I'll talk about this on another video because I can go way off into out of this the subject of this video. I just wanted to add that women are on top of the stuff that I mentioned in my other video. women are at so much more peace because they can also now have a relationship with God that they were not able to have in a toxic marriage.